Before I start today's lecture, I would like to apologize for the slight interruption in the previous lecture, but these are the hazards of online lectures, and this is how it is. Rather, this is what you wished for. Okay, so today we will learn about gravitational force. What is G force? What are the effects of G force on the body? We will learn the positive and negative G force acceleration and how do they affect our physiological systems. So, moreover, we learn the effects of space flight or weightlessness on different systems of our body, cardiovascular system, the effects on renal system, the effects on respiratory system. So, weightlessness affects almost all the system of our body. And at the end of the lecture, we will learn how the effects of G force on the body can be prevented. Am I audible to everyone? Can you hear me? Voice is low. Is it clear now? Okay. Okay, thank you. So what is meant by gravitational force? Here you can see the different types of acceleration and deceleration forces acting in our universe. This is the ground level here, and this is the direction of the gravity. This is the gravitational force, and this is the space where you can experience weightlessness, and this is the acceleration. So when you ascend to the space, you feel the acceleration force or the vibration. This is the positive force, and this is the negative force, the deceleration force or the negative G. So in space, you can experience a varying degree of temperature. There is temperature difference. The temperature may vary from minus 150 degrees centigrade to plus 150 degrees centigrade. And this temperature variation depends on the position with respect to the sun. Moreover, there are the effects of the UV rays and the cosmic rays and other radiation. So what is gravitational force or G force? So G force is the force or pull of the gravity on the body. Very simple. And we unit capital G to denote this gravitational force, whether the gravitational force is positive or negative. So gravitational force is the pull of gravity upon the body. So now this gravitational force can be positive or negative. We will label it as positive G force when we are increasing the speed, what we call as acceleration. Similarly, when we decrease our speed or when we are slowing down, this is negative G or deceleration. So whether there is positive G or negative G, both the types of gravitational forces, they do affect our physiological systems, all the systems, the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, the renal system, and even the endocrine system to some degree as well. Now this is how you can denote the acceleratory force. This is the centrifugal acceleratory force, and the formula for the centrifugal force is mv square over r. So I repeat, mv square over r, where m is for mass of the object, v is for the speed or velocity, and r is for the radius or the curvature of the turn. So we can denote the centrifugal acceleratory force as F is equal to mv square over r. Now thing to remember is that the force of centrifugal acceleration is directly proportional to the square of the velocity. So direct relationship between velocity and acceleratory force. Similarly, direct relationship with mass of the object and the acceleratory force. However, there is an inverse relationship with the radius. It's an inverse relationship of centrifugal force with the radius. Again, you can observe that there is an inverse relationship between the radius and centrifugal force. Suppose this is the earth, this is the center of the earth here, and this is the radius of the earth. So let's suppose the radius of the earth is around 4,000 miles here. This is the center and this is the radius. Now the force of gravity, it decreases with the inverse square of the distance from the center. So here you can see it decreases with the inverse square. So if you remember the formula Fv square over r, the accelerative force has direct relationship with the mass of the object. It has direct relationship with the velocity or the speed, but there is an inverse relationship with the radius. So remember the formula mv square divided by r. And this is the neutral position for the astronauts. You can see the sitting position. This is the neutral position, and you can observe different values, different types of gravitational forces. So the gravitational force at the head is around 4, then at the pelvis is around 3g, and at the knees around 3g, and 5g around the feet. So this is the neutral position for astronaut. Again, you can see this is the reference line, the weightlessness line of sight, and this is the gravitational force, and you can observe how the body is bent at various angles. So this neutral position is assumed to minimize the effect of g-force, especially during space flight. And our body can withstand around 3 g force. So this is the ability our body can withstand 3 g force, but not beyond that. Now this figure is taken from your textbook. Here you can see the acceleratory forces during takeoff of a spacecraft. And on the abscissa, you can see the time duration in minutes. And on the ordinate axis, you can see the acceleration from 0 to 10. And the unit is capital G. So remember, the acceleration is linear acceleration. Whether there is blast off acceleration or landing deceleration, both the types of acceleration are examples of linear acceleration. So, so this is the first booster. So this is the spacecraft. This is the first booster. Here you can see the gravitational force around 9g. Around 9g force has been applied during the first booster of the takeoff. And the second booster around 8g. Right. So this is a three-step takeoff. So usually the spacecraft take off in a three-step fashion. First booster followed by second, and eventually they enter the space. Remember, the blast off acceleration and the deceleration, both landing deceleration, both are example of linear acceleration. Here you can see the effect of gravity or the G force on the hydrostatic pressure on our cardiovascular system. Let's focus on figure A first. The figure A shows the person lying in supine position, right? He's lying supine and there is uniform pressure all throughout the body. Since the person is in supine position, from head to toe, the pressure remains the same. Uniform pressure. You can see pressure around 100 millimeter of mercury at the level of aorta. Similarly, the pressure at the level of head is around 100 millimeter mercury, and the same pressure at the level of feet, 100 millimeter. So in supine position, the pressure remains uniform throughout the body. Now in figure B, here you can see the person is in standing position. So due to this posture change, there is unequal pressure in different areas of the body. For example, the pressure in the feet, which was 100 millimeter mercury earlier, it has now risen to 200 millimeter. This is due to the effect of G force. Similarly, the pressure which was 100 millimeter in the head, it has now dropped to 60 millimeter. So in standing position, there is drop in the pressure in the head. So unequal distribution is there in standing position in contrast to supine position. Now in figure C, the person is in neutral position. This is the neutral position for the astronauts, slightly inclined sitting position. Here you can see a cannula has been inserted to measure the pressure in the aorta, and it shows that the pressure at the level of aorta is around 100 millimeter mercury, and the pressure has dropped to zero in the head. Now this drop in pressure at the level of head is again due to the effect of the G force. Right? Now this subject in sitting position is at the acceleration of 3G force. Remember, our body can withstand, can tolerate up to 3G acceleration. So to summarize, the hydrostatic pressure changes with respect to body posture. We have compared the three postures: supine posture, standing position, and sitting position, the neutral position for the astronaut under 3G force. So there is equal distribution of pressure in supine, unequal distribution of pressure in standing position, and still you can see variation, a significant drop in the head pressure in sitting position at 3G force. Now this graph shows the comparison between arterial pressure at different G forces. Now, on x-axis we have time duration in seconds, and on y-axis we have arterial pressure in millimeters per mercury. So this is the systolic and diastolic. The upper part of the red area is the systolic pressure, and the lower part of the curve is the diastolic pressure. So suppose the systolic pressure at time 0 is around 120 millimeters mercury, and the diastolic pressure is around 80 millimeters of mercury. Now after 5 minutes, you can see a significant drop in the systolic as well as the diastolic pressure. So this drop is around 22 millimeters mercury. So both the systolic and the diastolic pressure, they fall till the value 22 millimeters mercury. But after few minutes, after few seconds, around 15 seconds, you can see the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure, they rise again around the level of 50 systolic and 20 diastolic. Now this increase in systolic pressure and diastolic pressure in response to G-force is due to the activation of the presoreceptors, the baroreceptors located in the carotid body and the aorta. And this is known as the baroreceptor reflex. So this pressure change will be detected by these presoreceptors or the baroreceptors, and the arterial pressure, both the systolic pressure as well as the diastolic pressure, will return close to the original value. Here you can see the effects of space flights or weightlessness in different systems of our body, especially the cardiovascular system and the renal system. So what are the hormones or what are the chemical substances that are involved during weightlessness? You can see the increase in the ANP. So during weightlessness, during space flights, the atrial natriuretic peptide release is increased. On the other hand, the renin secretion, angiotensin secretion, aldosterone secretion, all these secretions are compromised. Hence, there is water loss, sodium loss through the urine. So there is increased urine loss. As far as the secretion of antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin is concerned, so initially there is drop in the antidiuretic hormone. So this drop in the antidiuretic hormone will compromise the diuretic effect, hence more urine will be excreted. So the urine volume will be on the higher side. But according to research, this drop in the antidiuretic hormone is minimized, and in fact we see increase in the ADH levels after few months in space. Now this is the figure here. You can see the effect of standing on the cardiovascular system, and we call it as the orthostatic intolerance. Orthostatic intolerance, especially after space flight. Now there are two uh, reasons for this orthostatic intolerance. The first is the increased stimulus to the cardiovascular system. The stimulus is of greater intensity. And the second reason is decreased response from the cardiovascular system. So whether there is increased stimulus strength to the CVS or decreased response from the CVS. So these are the two major causes of orthostatic intolerance. Orthostatic means change in body position, especially during standing position. So what happens during standing? The blood volume is reduced, right? Reduction in blood volume, reduction in lung compliance, increased limb compliance, and lack of splenic vasoconstriction. So this is the increased stimulus to the cardiovascular system. Now if we compare with the decreased response, the response from the baroreceptor reflex is compromised. Remember, decreased response from the presoreceptors, decreased response from the baroreflex. Moreover, the veno-arterial reflex also gives a minimal response, and the peripheral vascular response is also compromised. So either there is increased stimulus to the CVS or decreased response from the CVS. This will lead to orthostatic intolerance, especially during space flight. Now here you can see the effect of weightlessness on our skeleton. Here you can see the vertebra or the spine. These are the vertebra and these are the intervertebral discs. Intervertebral disc 1, intervertebral disc 2. and this is the effect of gravity or the body weight. So what happens during weightlessness? So there is no gravity. So in the absence of gravity, the intervertebral space will increase. So increase in the diameter here, increase in the intervertebral space will be there. So this increase in the intervertebral space will make the astronaut a few centimeters taller because the pressure on the spine disappears. Remember, in space, the pressure on the spine it disappears and the intervertebral space it expands slightly. And this will make the person a few centimeters taller. Now these are the group of muscles used in posture. You can see with the effect of gravity and without the effect of gravity. You can compare the two pictures, the effect of gravity on the right side and without gravity on the left side. And these are the muscles, the erector spinae are very important in maintaining posture, the iliopsoas, the quadriceps, hamstring muscle and soleus. So in weightlessness, all these muscles are unloaded. So the muscle tone is decreased. So decreased muscle tone is there in space. So muscle tone drops from the normal. So there is hypotonia or sometimes there is muscle atrophy as well. Due to muscle disuse, there is slight atrophy of the muscle. Now in this graph you can see a course of physiological responses during different phases of a space flight. Weightlessness, repeat, rewarding. Which slide are you referring to? Ji beta. Ji Shahzeb. Which slide are you referring to? Previous slide. Let me go back. This one or this one? I mentioned the slide numbers. Slide numbers are given at the bottom, right bottom of your screen. This is slide 13. Ji Shahzeb. Okay. This one. But this is the comparison between the body posture in the presence of gravity and in the absence of gravity. And these are the important muscles which maintain posture. You must have read in your anatomy lectures, erector spinae, iliopsoas, quadriceps, hamstring, soleus. All these are large muscles and these are the extensor muscles. Remember, the extensor muscles are the posture muscles. And this is the effect of weightlessness. So this is the effect of weightlessness. The muscles become hypotonic in absence of gravity. Plus there is muscle disuse. The muscles become hypotonic. Muscle tone is decreased. Decreased muscle tone. Sometimes the muscles become atrophic as well. So in weightlessness or in during space flights, there is muscle atrophy. Not only the muscles become atrophic, the bones also become fragile during space flight. Why the bones become fragile? Because there is increased osteoplastic activity during space flight. So the osteoplastic activity is increased and this will lead to demineralization. So not only the muscle mass decreases, the bone density also decreases. So drop in the bone density. This will cause demineralization. And that is the reason there is tendency for fracture of spine during space flight. Understood? Can we move on? Ji Shazib. Okay. All right. Thank you. So where were we? Yes. So this is the graphical representation of different physiological responses during the course of a space flight. Here you can see the time duration on the x-axis, 15 days, 30 days, 1 month, 45 days, here's 6 months, 8 months. So, and these are the physiological responses. So, initially, vestibular disorders are there. So, vestibular system is one of the systems which is affected earlier. You can see the initial few days. Why this vestibular system is affected? Because equilibrium is not there. So this will cause motion sickness. So this motion sickness will cause nausea, vomiting, GI disturbances. Then comes the renal system, loss of salt and fluids. So more urine volume output will be there, more excretion will be there. Then comes the hematological changes, and the most important cells are the red blood cells. Decrease in red blood cell is there. Not only the red blood cell mass decreases, the plasma volume decreases, and this will eventually cause decrease in the total blood volume. That is the reason, due to decrease in the red blood cell count, there is anemia. Remember that in space there is anemia, and we call this type of anemia as space anemia. So you must have read different types of anemia: nutritional deficiency anemia, aplastic anemia, and this is another type of anemia, space anemia, right? So in space, the RBC count decreases, the red cell mass, red cell volume decreases. This also leads to decrease in the plasma volume, and eventually the total blood volume also decreases. Then comes the effect on the musculoskeletal system. Bone demineralization is there, bone decalcification. So calcium is lost from the bone, and this excessive calcium is excreted from the kidneys, right? That is the reason the urine output is greater than normal. These calcium ions, they are being lost from the kidneys, from the bone, sorry, and then eventually excreted out through the urine. So in the start of the lecture, we discussed the two types of gravitational forces, positive and negative. So both the positive and negative G force both have physiological effects on our body. We will discuss the effects of positive G force first. What are the effects of positive G force? But a positive G force means acceleratory force. Negative G force means decelerating force. So during acceleration, there is pooling of blood in the lower part of the body, especially in the lower vessels, the vessels in our limbs. This is the first effect of positive G force. Due to this positive G force, the blood will accumulate in the limbs. Then comes the gray out. So what do we mean by the term gray out? This is due to hypoxia of the retina. So in the absence of oxygen, the retina is very sensitive to hypoxia. So hypoxia of the retina will cause grayish of the vision. So the vision becomes gray in color. And if it becomes severe hypoxia may sometimes lead to total blindness. And we will label this condition as total blackout. So blackout is the severe form or the aggressive form of gray out. Positive G force is the acceleration force when you are accelerating during space. And negative G force is the deceleration force when you are slowing down. So during space flight, there are events when you are accelerating and there are events when you are decelerating. And this acceleration and deceleration are denoted by positive and negative G forces respectively, right? And now we are discussing the effects of positive G force. So when you are moving fast, when you are accelerating, so when you are accelerating, these are the effects of positive G. The blood will accumulate in the lower limbs, the lower vessels, and due to hypoxia, there is gray out. Gray out is due to hypoxia of the retina. And if the hypoxia is severe, this may lead to total or complete blindness, known as blackout. Sometimes the patient may lose consciousness, and why there is unconsciousness? Again, the answer is hypoxia. Hypoxia, if hypoxia becomes critical, it becomes very severe, so the brain becomes hypoxic and the person may lose his or her consciousness. And another important effect of positive G force is the effect on bones. So remember, the ability to tolerate positive G force of our body is around 2.8 or 3G level. Our body can withstand positive G force till the value of 3G, but not beyond that. So a greater force greater than 3G, around 5G or 20G, may fracture the bone, especially the spine, because the bones are already fragile in the space. Why the bones are fragile? Due to demineralization, decalcification. So there is decalcification of bones in space, and this excessive calcium is lost from the bones and excreted out through the urine. That is the reason there is tendency of bone fractures, especially in the spine. Now we are done with the effects of positive G. Now let's discuss the effects of negative. So what is negative G? When you are decelerating, when you are slowing down. The opposite of acceleration is deceleration. So psychotic disturbances initially followed by hyperemia. So what is hyperemia? Hyperemia is due to congestion or engorgement of blood vessels. So in the absence of negative G force, the blood vessels in the brain sometimes they become engorged. So congestion and dilatation of blood vessels is there, especially in the eyes as well as in the head. And this congestion and dilatation of the blood vessels in the eye will lead to red out. So remember, gray out and blackout are the effects of positive G, whereas red out is the effect of negative G. Gray out and blackout are due to hypoxia of retina as a result of positive G force. So in gray out there is graying or blurring of vision, and in blackout there is complete loss of vision due to hypoxia of retina. And what happens in red out? In red out there is dilatation or congestion of blood vessels in the eyes, and this is due to the effect of negative G. So there is redness of the vision and we call it as red out. Similarly, blood accumulation in brain may sometimes lead to brain edema, and this brain edema will cause headache, and in severe conditions there is unconsciousness as well. Remember, positive G force can lead to unconsciousness, negative G force can also lead to unconsciousness, but the cause is different is in each case. In positive G force, unconsciousness is due to hypoxia of brain. So the brain cannot tolerate hypoxia. That is the cause of unconsciousness in positive G force. However, in negative G force, there is unconsciousness because the pressure on the head, the pressure on the chest, these are variable. And these variable pressure on the chest will lead to bradycardia or sometimes cardiac arrhythmia. So the rhythm is lost, the heartbeat is irregular. So due to this irregular heartbeat, the patient may sometimes faint. So the cause is different in each case. What is red out? Okay, red out is one of the effects of negative G force. Number one, red out is due to dilatation or congestion of blood vessels in the eyes. So in the presence of a negative G force, the blood vessels in the eye they dilate and there is congestion. Due to this, there is redness, and we call it as red out. On the other hand, uh, gray out is due to the hypoxia of the retina, and if it becomes very severe, there is complete blindness, and we call it as blackout. So gray out and blackout, they are the effects of positive G force. Red out is one of the effects of negative G force. Understood? Can we move? Should we move on? जी बेटा अरूज ओके बोरिंग तो नहीं है स्पेस फिजियोलॉजी जी बोरिंग है तो सही थोड़ी ओके आई ट्राई माय बेस्ट मेक इट इंटरेस्टिंग नाउ दिस इज इंटरेस्टिंग this is the last slide of today's lecture but this is very interesting. So we have discussed the different types of acceleration and deceleration, positive g-force and the negative g-force. Now what are the effects of these gravitational forces? What are the effects of this weightlessness during space flight on our physiological system? So we will discuss the effect of weightlessness on each system one by one, right? So we start with the cardiovascular system, the most important of all, cardiovascular system. So what are the effects of weightlessness on the CVS? So during space flight, during weightlessness, there is tendency of arrhythmia. So cardiac arrhythmia are very common during space flight, and the most important is the premature ventricular contraction. So the rhythm is lost, especially during space flight, and premature ventricular contraction are the commonest of all the cardiac arrhythmia. Then there is alteration in the cardiac parameters. For example, variation in the electrocardiogram, variation in the heart rate is there, variation in the stroke volume is there. So when the stroke volume and heart rate they vary, they eventually affect the cardiac output, right? Similarly, we may see variation in the arterial pressure, the venous pressure, the atrial pressure, and eventually the blood flow is affected. So all these parameters this they exhibit fluctuation during spaceflight. Sometimes there is variation in the cardiac size as well. So why there is variation in cardiac size? Initially due to the effect of positive G force, most of the blood is supplied to the heart and the heart size increases. But this is compensated by the kidneys. This increased volume of blood is excreted by the kidneys and the heart size shrinks. So these are the effects of G force, variation or fluctuation in different cardiac parameters, including heart size. Did you get the effects on CVS? Okay. Now the effects of weightlessness on respiratory system. So you may see increase in the respiratory rate. There is not only tachycardia, but the breathing rate is also increased. But the tidal volume is compromised. What is tidal volume? Beta. What is the normal tidal volume? Answer me, hurry up. Normal value of tidal volume in males, healthy adult males. No response. You don't know the tidal volume. There is increase in the respiratory rate and decrease in the tidal volume. The tidal volume is around 500 milliliter normally. So this 500 milliliter tidal volume is reduced to 400 or sometimes 300 ml. Moreover, there is hyperventilation. And if the hypoxia is severe, there is apnea, atelectasis, or sometimes respiratory failure may be there. Then the effect of different fluid transudation. So there is increased transudation of fluid from the capillaries. This will cause the increased weight of the thoracic cage, increased weight of the abdominal viscera, and the VQ ratio will be affected, and there is tendency to go to respiratory failure. So almost all the respiratory parameters are affected to certain degrees. The most important are the respiratory rate, tidal volume, and the VQ ratio. These are the important parameters. So increase in the respiratory rate and decrease in the tidal volume. Moreover, the VQ ratio is disturbed. Ventilation, perfusion ratio. Not only the ventilation is disturbed, the perfusion blood supply is also disturbed. That is the reason the VQ ratio either increases or decreases depending upon the G force, whether the G force is positive or negative. Then the effects on the renal system. So these are the effects of weightlessness on the renal system. You can see decrease in the release of renin. Now, what is renin and from where it is released? G beta. You will learn the renal physiology in second year. So renin is released from the kidneys. Decreased release of renin. This renin decrease will cause decrease in the release of angiotensin and aldosterone. So the whole system is affected. Remember the RAS system, RAS, or sometimes known as RAAS. Anyone who can tell me what is RAAS or RAS? Yes, I'm waiting for the answer. You have done this in cardiovascular system as well, in regulation of arterial pressure. Yes. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Yes, Shabash. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. So the whole system collapses. Decrease in the levels of renin will cause decrease in the level of angiotensin 1, angiotensin 2, and even the aldosterone levels, they drop from the normal. Yes, sir. Thank you. There is increase in the levels of antidiuretic hormone as well as the atrial natriuretic peptide. So these are the important hormones that you should not miss. Decrease renin, angiotensin, aldosterone, and increase vasopressin and atrial natriuretic peptide. So this increase in ADH is in response to fall in renin level. Moreover, there is increased urinary excretion of calcium. We discussed that there is bone decalcification, bone demineralization during space flight. So calcium is lost from the bones, and this excessive calcium is finally excreted out of the body through the urine. So increased urinary calcium content will be there. Moreover, the pH of the urine will drop, the citrate value, the magnesium value will also drop, and there is drop in the urinary volume as well. So due to this calcium and citrate disturbance, there is increased risk of calculi or stone formation or bladder dystonia during space flight. So loss of sodium and water electrolytes are there, and decrease in the body fluid volume is there. And we are done that we have discussed that calcium excretion is increased in response to bone demineralization. Now, what are the effects of space flight or weightlessness on the blood and immune system? And the most important cells are the red blood cells. So the red blood cells are affected. Decrease in the RBC mass is there. Not only the RBC mass decreases, there is decrease in the RBC volume, and this will cause decrease in the plasma volume as well. So decrease RBC count, decrease RBC mass and volume will lead to a sort of anemic picture, and this type of anemia may be labeled as space anemia. This is space anemia. Not only the RBC count decreases, sometimes the white blood cells, they are also on the lower side, and this will cause suppression of the immune system as well. So these are the effects of weightlessness on our blood and immune system, especially on the RBC. Now, musculoskeletal system. We have discussed that the extensor muscles are very important for maintaining posture. The muscles of the spine, the muscles of posterior compartment of lower limb, they are very important, and the muscle tone is lost during space flight. Not only there is decrease in the muscle tone, there is decrease in the muscle power and muscle mass. So remember, decrease in muscle mass, muscle power and muscle tone. So there is hypertonia initially. Initially there is hypotonia, and if the situation becomes very serious and aggressive, this may sometimes lead to muscle atrophy. So the exercise capacity is compromised, what we call as the endurance. Decrease in the muscle endurance or the work capacity of the muscle or the exercise capacity of muscle is minimized during space flight. So these are the effects on muscles. Now what about bones? There is increase in the osteoclastic activity. Increase bone osteoclastic activity. So due to this osteoclastic activity, most of the calcium will be decalcified from the bones. Calcium and phosphate levels will fall. This will lead to demineralization and decrease in the bone density. That is the reason there is tendency of fracture of bones. The bones are fragile in space, especially the spine. Now, what are the effects of weightlessness on brain, visual, and vestibular system? So these are interrelated: the visual system, the vestibular system, and the CNS. That is why we have grouped these three systems together: brain, visual, and vestibular system. So initially there is psychotic disturbance, hyperemia or brain edema is there. You remember we discussed negative G. In the presence of negative G force, there is congestion of blood, there is pooling of blood in the brain, and this is known as hyperemia. And this blood accumulation will lead to brain edema or headache. Then there are effects of positive G force, the gray out and the blackout. We have already discussed what is gray out, what is blackout. Gray out is due to hypoxia of the retina. So retina is very sensitive to oxygen level. So hypoxia of retina will cause grayish or blurring of the vision. And if it becomes severe, there is complete or total blindness, what we call as blackout. So both gray out and blackout are the effects of positive G. Or you may observe negative G red out. What is red out? This is due to dilatation or congestion of blood vessels in the eyes, causing redness of the vision. This is red out. So remember, gray and blackout are the effects of positive G, and red out is one of the effects of negative G. Then the vestibular system is affected due to disturbance in the equilibrium. The patient may observe, the patient may experience motion sickness, nausea, vomiting, headache, malaise. These are the symptoms for motion sickness, and this type of motion sickness is known as space motion sickness. Similar type of motion sickness is observed at high altitude as well. Now the effects of weightlessness on the endocrine system. As far as the endocrine system is concerned, these are the important hormones that may see that that may vary in spaceflight, especially renin, angiotensin 1, angiotensin 2, and aldosterone. So we may see fall in all these hormones, decreased levels of renin, decreased level of angiotensin 1, 2, and decreased level of aldosterone. On the other side, there is increase in the levels of antidiuretic hormone as a compensatory effect and atrial natriuretic peptide. Both ADH and ANP increase are for the regulation of the arterial pressure. Moreover, you may observe decrease in the cortisol level, decrease in the cholesterol level as well. So far, uh, research says that there is no change in the reproductive hormones, no change in the testosterone level, but research is going on. So, so are you done with this slide? Is there any question? Please let me know. This is important. This is the summary of the whole chapter. जी बेटा. Have you understood the effects of weightlessness on CVS, on respiratory system, on renal system, on musculoskeletal system, and blood and immune system? Have you understood? Okay. Now, how we can prevent the effects of G-force? And there are two methods that we can adopt. One by using abdominal bed, and the other anti-G suits are there. How we can prevent the effects of G forces? By using abdominal belts or using anti-G suits. So these are the two methods. What abdominal belts do? They stop the pooling of blood. So we can prevent blood pooling by using abdominal belts by applying pressure. And there are specific special anti-G suits are made that exert a positive pressure, especially on the lower limbs and abdomen, and this will prevent pooling of blood. So these are some parameters that we can use to minimize the effects of G force on the body, abdominal belts and anti-G suits. Okay, we are done with today's lecture. Sir, can gray out and blackout be recovered? Okay. So recovery depends on the degree of hypoxia. Remember, retina is extremely sensitive to hypoxia. Even uh, minor variation in oxygen level may lead to drastic consequences as far as vision is concerned. So gray out is the initial stage. So there are chances that the patient may recover from gray out, but if the hypoxia becomes severe enough and there is severe hypoxia to the retinal and the retinal layers, and this may lead to total blindness. In that case, the recovery is very difficult, almost impossible, right? Any other question? G suits. G suits, they exert positive pressure, and we apply these G suits especially on over the region of abdomen and lower limb. So these G suits they exert positive pressure, and this will minimize the effect of the G force. The idea is to prevent pooling of blood, whether you are applying abdominal belts or whether you are wearing G suit. The idea is to minimize pooling of blood. So in space flight, there is blood pooling, especially in the lower limbs. So due to this blood pooling, the cardiac output is compromised due to decrease in the venous return. That is the reason we apply this abdominal belt. So this will increase the venous return and this will pump the blood towards the heart. So positive pressure is exerted from the lower limb and the abdomen so that there is increase in the venous return. So will cause this will prevent the pooling of blood, right? Any other question? Okay, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.